Good morning, Fantastic Fours. Great to have you with us again. I'm missing being outside. I'm sure all of you are, particularly missing going trail running, which is why I decided I'd start off by wearing my trail running hat today. Yes, I'm sure many of you are missing being able to get outdoors, being able to do all those things. Remember, hopefully it's not for much longer, and this is for the benefit of our country to make sure we don't spread the virus. Anyway, let's move on to maths for today. I hope that your times table challenges are going well. If you have any questions today about maths, or actually any other day if you have a question about maths you'd like me to help you with, I have been a maths teacher for a number of years, so I'm sure I'll be able to help you. Just email me grade4@worksheetcloud.com. After we finish the lesson, click on the link above, go to the worksheet, make sure that you've understood what it is that we've done today. So on to what it is we're actually doing today. We're going to be looking at some tricks with multiplication. There is a fancy name for this, but I'm not going to give you the name because it's not important. What is important is that you know how to use this trick to help you with your maths. So our lesson goals today, there's just two. Firstly, understand that we can multiply in any order and get the right answer. And secondly, be able to break down multiplication into smaller pieces so that we'll be able to do it in our heads and not have to resort to doing long calculations or anything like that. Right, multiply this quickly. If you got 20, you are correct. Now multiply this quickly. If you got 20, you are correct. So if I go back to the previous slide, you'll see I did 4 times 5 and I got 20. And in this one, I did 5 times 4 and I got 20 again. Useful. With times, it doesn't matter which way around you do it, you're going to get the same answer. So particularly useful if your times tables are still developing and maybe you get something like 9 times 2 and you're not so good with your 9 times table. Well, if you just switch it around, you can do 2 times 9 and maybe your 2 times table is better than your 9 times table and you'll be able to get the answer more easily. Obviously, I'd like for your times tables to be good, but just it's good to know that you can switch your times around and you'll still get the same answer. The same is actually true of plus. You can plus whichever way around you like and you're still going to get the correct answer. Anyway, but we're looking at multiplication today. So multiplication, you can do it anyway. Now, quickly do this one. 6 times 35. Not as easy as the other one, is it? No, certainly it isn't. But the trick I'm going to teach you today should hopefully help you with that. It's about breaking this up into smaller pieces so that we can get through things more simply. So I'm not going to go into the formula for calculating division, which I'm sure that you will do. Maybe we'll do it at a later date. We're just going to look at sort of some quick jottings down to help you get to the right answer. And we call this, or what we're looking at, is breaking up multiplication. So we're taking the multiplication, we're putting it into smaller pieces so that we can work out the correct answer. Let's go across to our whiteboard. Let's go across the whiteboard. So it's going to go to the end page so that we can do some workings out. Okay. Let's start off by looking at three times 14. Now perhaps you can do that because you can do your 12 times or 3 times table up to 12, and then you can add 3 and you'll get to 14 times 3 because we can switch them around if we want. But I'm going to teach you a way that we can break the number up and hopefully you'll be able to get there quite easily. So first up, I'm going to start off by saying, I hope that you can see that we could break up 14 into 10 plus 4 because 10 plus 4 is 14. So I've just rewritten my 14 in 2 pieces. Fair? I hope you think so. I'm leaving my 3 alone. So now I'm going to do I broke 3, still got everything I did in the first line, 3 times 14, but this time 3 times 10 and 3 times 4. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go first 3 times 10 and then 3 times 4. So 3 times 10, I'm just putting it in a bracket to keep it together, and 3 times 4. So the plus comes from there because between the two pieces was a plus, and now between the two pieces is a plus. Well, I'm sure that that's not too tricky for you. 3 times 10, if you remember our lesson about the secret zeros, or the tricks with 0, 3 times 10 is 30. We just put the 0 down and do 3 times 1. If you don't remember that lesson, it's perhaps useful to go back and revise it. And 3 times 4, if your times tables are doing okay, would be 12. Adding 30 and 12 together is fairly easy. 1 plus 2 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. And there's my final answer. Now this might all look like a big calculation. And I suppose it is. We've done 4 lines of working out to do a simple 3 times 14. But this is the process that will eventually happen inside your heads. So eventually you'll work out, well, 3 times 10 is 30 and 3 times 4 is 12, 30 and 12 is 42, and you'll go straight to your answer. It's just that while we're learning to do it, we're going to write out all the steps. So for now, bear with me while we do all the steps, but know that later on you'll be able to do these steps in your head. Right, number 2, let's do 5 times 17. Well, again, we're going to break up the tricky number into 2 parts. I've got a 7 plus a 10, or a 10 plus a 7 gives me 17. I've just rewritten it. So I've written my 17 in a different way. Now I'm going to multiply out. So I'm going to do 5 times each of my bits. So 5 times 10 and 5 times 7. And the plus comes in between the two. Well, 5 times 10, we've got our special trick with a 0, so we know that that's 50. 5 times 7, or 7 times 5, because we can switch those around if we want. It's easy for me. I hope that you're working it out, doing either your 5 or your 7 times table. 5, 10, 50, 20, 25, 30, 35. 35, or 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. It's going to give you 35. Adding these two is quite easy. The 5 and the 0 give me a 5. The 3 and the 5 give me an 8, and my answer is 85. Right? Next one. So in each of the ones I've shown you so far, the smaller number has come first, but it doesn't matter which way around you do it. You could switch it around anyway. But let's do one with the bigger number in the front this time. So 16 times by 8. So I don't think I could do that one in my head. Good. But for the sake of working out, let's have a look. So we're going to break up the double-digit number into a 10 plus a 6. We'll leave our times 8 alone. Now we're going to times each of the 8 with each of the parts. So 10 times 8 and 6 times 8. So 10 times 8, 6 times 8. Plus comes in the middle. We tie things up neatly with the brackets. 10 times 8, or 8 times 10. 6 times 8. I'll give you a moment to work that out while I have a sip of tea. Chance to practice your times tables. Hope you got 48. If you didn't, you need to practice some more. Adding these two together, I'm going with my units first. So 0 plus 8 is 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. So my answer is 128. Hope working through some examples is a good way to learn. I would normally get feedback from a class when I was teaching them, but unfortunately in this format we can't do that. So I have to rely on giving you the work and working it out together. I'm going to give you a chance to work this one out yourselves before I go through. So I'll give about 30 seconds head start, which for fast people might be enough time. And for people who are working slowly and steadily, which is what I like, you might find that you don't finish in that time. And then I just encourage you to pause the video and finish up. But I'll give about a 30 seconds head start so that you can get going with it. 25 times 5. If you need more time, pause it. If you're happy to work through it together, let's do that. So I'm going to break up my 25 into 20 plus 5. Then I'm going to times each of the pieces by 5. So 20 times 5, and 5 times 5. Tie them up in brackets. Plus comes in the middle. 5 times, let's do my smiling 0 first. And then 5 times 2 is 10. So 20 times 5 is 100. Plus 5 times 5 is 25. 125. Hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense, and you'll be able to see how we can use it to maybe speed up our processing. So again, just to remind you, I'm working through a lot of steps. We're writing out each step on the paper while we learn how to do it. But later on, once you're more confident, this will happen inside your head and it won't take nearly as long and you won't have to write down as much. 9 times 36. We're going to work it out using the breaking up method, but I did just want to point out something as well. Is you could say to yourself, well, 9 is close to 10, and if we were doing 10 times 36, it would give me 360 because of my smiling 0. And then we'd just need to take away the 36 that we have, and you could work it out like that. If that's something you find easier, for now we are going to continue with our breaking up that we've been doing. So this is the one I'm going to break up. If you'd like a little bit more time, just pause the video. Now I'm going to times 9 by each of the pieces that I have. So 9 times 30. And then 9 times 6. I'm going to add them together, and that addition comes because there's an addition over there. There is a way to do this with minus, but I think let's rather not do that. I think it would just confuse people as well. So we're just going to work with times and plus. So I use my smiling 0 again, drop it down, then 9 times 3, or 3 times 9, 27. This is why times tables are so important. Otherwise, you get stuck working out little details. And if your times tables are not good, you will, well, I won't say never, but you will really struggle to do these in your head. You'll get lost in the process in your head. So we need to make sure your times tables are excellent so that you can do this. 9 times 6, 54. It's just a times table thing. All right, this is the first time we have something with hundreds to add together. Should still not pose a problem. We're going to do step by step. So I'm going to add my units first. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry 1. I would normally keep the 1 in my head. And then in the hundreds, I've got nothing here. 2 there, carried the 1. So I've got 3. And my answer is 324. 6th one. I have 2 more similar to this, and then I'm going to go on to slightly bigger numbers. Okay, try this one. I'll give a little bit of time before I start. Okay, let's break down our 19 into a 10 plus a 9. Then I'm going to times each of those parts out. So 10 times 4 and 9 times 4. I was looking at plus, so there's a plus in between. Ten times 4 is 40. 9 times 4, or 4 times 9, because you know we can do them either way around, is 36. Add my units. 0 plus 6 is 6. 4 plus 3 is 7. So my answer is 76. Six times 45. Give you 20 seconds to get started, and then if you need more time, just pause. Okay, breaking up my 45 into 40 plus 5. Then I'm going to times each of the pieces. So 6 times 40, and then 6 times 5. 6 times 4 is 24. 0 goes down. If you don't remember what I mean, or don't understand what I mean when I say the 0 goes down, I think definitely go back and have a look at that lesson. I think it's called Tricks with Zero. But basically, we can just drop this 0 down, and then we do 6 times 4 to get the 24, and we put the 0 over here. And so the answer to the whole thing is 240. It's a nice, easy way of multiplying when you've got a 0 in there. 6 times 5 is 30. 240 plus 30 is 270. Let's do a yellow one. Last, the ones with 2 digits. I'm going to go straight into working this one out. If you'd like some more time, or if you want to practice on your own first, you'll get more time in the worksheet. But if you'd like to practice and then watch me go through it, then just pause the video. So first 7 times 50, then 7 times 5. That's why your times tables are so important. Just a quick side note, you'll notice that other than the 0, 7 times 5 and 7 times 5. So your answers 3, 5 with the 0 because it was up there, and 3, 5 without the 0 because there was no 0 up top. Add your units first. 0 plus 5 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 385. Okay, moving on to a little bit more complex, but just it works exactly the same, is now we're going to do the same, but we're going to do it with a 3-digit number. So that would be number 9. So let's go with 6 times 112. So this is what I mean by a 3-digit number. I've got a 3-digit number there instead of a 2-digit number. But I think you would agree that I could break this down into 100 plus 10 from the middle plus 2. And I'm sure some of you at least are noticing that you could just do the same thing. So times each of the pieces together. So first 6 times 100, then 6 times 10, then 6 times 2. And then we'll add the pieces together. So we're just working it out in pieces. 6 times 100, I've got my 2 zeros. See where it comes in helpful. Got my 1 0. And I've got 6 times 2 is 12. Add my units. 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 6 plus 0 is 7. Just the 6. So the answer was 627. So just a reminder, what I would have done is in my head, I would have said 600, 60, 12, and in my head, I would have added those, and I would have gone to the answer with 672. So all of these steps I'm showing you from here to here will eventually be done in your head, and you'll just be able to do this and break it straight to your answer, 672. Final one to practice today. This is also a 3-digit one, and this one I'm going to give you some time to try on your own. I think maybe a minute because it's also a 3-digit one. This one we're going to do 5 times 123. Have a go with that one. I'll give you about a minute before I start. If you'd like a little bit more time, then just pause the video. I'm going to go through this one. So start off by breaking up 123 into 100 plus 20 plus 3. I'm going to times out 5 times 100, 5 times 20, 5 times 3, and now that I've done that, I'm going to work out each one and then add them together. 5 times 100, well, 5 times 1 is 5 with my 2 smiling zeros. 5 times 2 is 10 with my 1 smiling 0. 5 times 3 is 15. Units, 0, 0, 5. Tens, 0, 0, 1. Hundreds, 6. 5 plus 1 is 6. There we go. We've managed to break it down, solve it, and put it back together. So as I said, this is the beginning of being able to do these steps in your head, which makes your life a lot easier when you come to doing these later on. Once you've practiced this, once your times tables are good, this will all happen in your head, as I showed you over here with this one. You will just go 6 times each of the pieces, and then in your head you'll take those and put them together, and you'll go straight to your answer instead of all of this writing out. But I do encourage you that while you're practicing, while you're getting the hang of it, you rather write down each step and solve it as you go, rather than that. Okay, that's all we have for today, those 2 tricks with zeros. So I actually just want to go back to our lesson goals and remind us of what it was we were looking at. So first up, understanding that you can multiply in any order. So you can change it around depending on which of your times tables is better. So you can say 5 times 4 is 20, or if your 4 times table is better, you can say 4 times 5. I don't know which one is which table. To me, they're the same, just working them out 2 different ways. But you can change the order and still get the right answer. And secondly, what we've been practicing now on the whiteboard is how to break down multiplication into smaller pieces and then put it together and solve it. So those were our lesson goals. I hope that you're comfortable doing that now. Please click on the link above and go to the worksheet and go through it just to make sure you have mastered it. If you do need help with going back to that one about the magic zeros or the tricks with zero, that's also a useful thing to use. We used it a lot today. And finally, if you have any questions or there's a topic you'd like to cover in the future, please feel free to email me at any time, grade4@worksheetcloud.com. Have an absolutely awesome day. Grade 4s, goodbye.